Hey everyone, we are on day 18 of our 90-day challenge. And I'm going to say right now, for those of you following me day to day, I think I'm probably going to take the weekends off until, or at least until I decide to get ahead again. Being sick this week really threw me off, and I was not um, ready for that. So, anyway, we're going to wrap up this little mini session of letting go as part of our 90-day challenge today with a final thought. I don't have letting go down. Don't think for a moment that throughout all the hard work I've done this week and everything I've tried to share this week that I've got this skill mastered. This is a skill, and it's a skill that's going to take time and effort to build. And this is what I talk about when I talk about doing the hard work. This is part of the hard work we have to do day after day. We have to choose to do this kind of hard work for ourselves every day. So it's not going to happen overnight. I did not wake up today and say, okay, I'm all done. I let go. It's probably not going to happen for some time. But the last part of what I've been learning about letting go are expectations. And when I say expectations, I really mean two things. One, what are our expectations of others? Those people who affect whether or not we can let go, or why we're struggling to let go, or people in the perimeter of the happening, what's going on in your world, coworkers, family, friends, whatever. And then our expectations of ourselves. So, twofold. And I share a lot of my story to resonate and for examples. Hopefully, some of these things you can relate to. Hopefully, some of these things you can't relate to, because I wouldn't wish the trauma and the amount of pain I've been through and I've watched my kids go through on anyone. But I know that there are many of us that are trying really hard to live inside this vulnerable space where we can explore our vulnerabilities with those we love, and we can trust them to keep our vulnerabilities safe and help build security with ourselves and within our tribes. And in order to do that, we need to understand that we're all human, and living authentically is pretty simple as just being true to yourselves and being true to those around you. So, with that comes expectations. And this, when you think of it in terms of how am I living authentically, it's pretty easy to consider what my expectations should be, or what my expectations are as I live inside the vulnerable, as I live my truth. What are my expectations? They should be pretty transparent. And if our goal is to be transparent with those we love, we should be able to express our expectations and know whether or not the people around us can meet them. So I think my disappointment in my world comes from the expectations I put out there and what I got back, which really didn't venture far from my expectations. I think maybe I voiced one expectation, and maybe I silently expected something different. And that includes from myself as well. So I would ask everyone to remember to live authentically also means to be transparent. And to be transparent means to communicate your truth. Not everybody has to like it, and certainly not everybody has to meet your expectations. But nobody will know what they are unless you voice them. And you won't know what they are of yourself if they keep changing, or unless maybe you write it down or voice it to yourself. So, in today's challenge to wrap up how to let it go, I want everybody to think about what we're expecting, not only of ourselves, but of the people around us. My disappointment from the people around me came from almost expecting them to do things the way I would have done them. And it doesn't make the way I would have done things right or wrong. It just means that maybe I expected people to be like me or to react in ways I would have reacted. And I was disappointed when that didn't happen. But how could I be disappointed in people doing things their own way when my reactions would be different? So here's an example. If you've ever had a friend or a coworker or family member announce something like a death of a loved one or a diagnosis of an illness, and you don't really know what to say and you don't really know what to do and you can't solve the problem, so you do nothing. Or if you've heard people talk about the people in their world choosing to do nothing, then you kind of already know what I'm talking about. So this space of being authentic and living inside this vulnerability and transparency really means to me, here's where I am, here's what I'm going through, and here's what I need from you to support me. And if you can meet those needs, fantastic. If you can't, please tell me and let me know so I know how to get that support somewhere else. I have a friend who lost her husband a few months ago, and I reached out to her very early on and I helped in ways that I could. And all of that happened very fast. The help in ways that I could was one day, the reaching out was the same day or the next day. And then there was another reaching out, just a reminder, I'm here if you need anything. Well, it's been a couple of months. I have not reached out since. And honestly, if I were her, I might be wondering, I wonder if Stella even cares because she has not reached out in a couple of months. And maybe her expectations are, well, I really needed you to reach out after week 2 when life started to get back to normal and I didn't know how to do normal. And you didn't reach out. So I didn't know you cared. And maybe my perspective might be different. And honestly, my perspective is I've thought about it several times. I just haven't done it. But maybe my perspective is, well, I reached out twice and I helped in this way and I just didn't feel like you needed it and I didn't know what else to do, so I didn't ask. And I think in my situation, very similar to that, my expectations, where my disappointment lies, were somewhere where I didn't voice them, and other people's responses matched exactly that. But my internal expectations may have been something completely different because I would have done something completely different. Expectations. Set them. Set them with your tribe. Set them with your partner, set them with your children, your family. I mean, we can dive into this stuff when it comes to parenting and grandparents and parenting and adult siblings, um, y- babysitters, neighbors. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when my children were really young, I got into conversations with grandparents, my parents, and their other grandparents as well, about my parenting style versus maybe what they would have done. Well, this is how we do things in my house, and so if you're not going to respect that, then you're not going to be able to come over or be alone with the kids or babysit or take them for the weekend or take them on holiday or whatever, because these are my expectations that when they're in your care, you will do the same kinds of things in these certain situations. I see that happen all the time. Work, how many frustrations have you gone through with coworkers where you just say to another coworker, well, I wish so and so had just done it this way. If they had just done it this way, then we wouldn't be where we are today. Well, did you put forth those expectations with the person you think may have ruined a project? What are your expectations, and are you letting everybody who you need to rely on know? Are you giving them a chance to say, I can't give that to you right now, but let me know at another time what else you might need? Or I could do that. How do you want me to do that? How can I help? How can I be there to better support you? And then what are your expectations with yourself? I always end my conversations when people are going through difficult times. I always end those conversations with, please don't forget to give yourself grace. Watch how you talk to yourself. Be kind and loving and give yourself grace. So, expectations. What are you expecting from others and from yourself? Decide to let go. Work toward letting go. Do the hard work. Show up day after day after day after day and remind yourself why it's important you let go. What do you get when you let go? What do you gain from not letting go? Anything? My guess is probably not anything of value. Otherwise, letting go would be easier, right? Because we're holding on to something that we think is of value, or we're holding on because we've been wronged or hurt or pained, and it's hard to just let that go. So make the choice, let it out, meditate, yoga, run, exercise, hit the gym, talk with a friend, vent, word vomit all over somebody who is safe and has told you, you can word vomit all over me you want. Just get it out. Scream. Go to the top of the mountain and scream. Go to a rage room and break everything you can. Let it out. Somehow let it out. Okay? And communicate what your expectations are. That pretty much wraps up our week. There are lots of steps to letting something go. This certainly isn't it. These are the top things I have learned to help me stay grounded in this process of trying to let go. And I've said it before, my trauma is layered, and it's layered with several different pieces and people and puzzles, and there are some things that are going to be harder to let go than other things. Keep working at it. Keep believing in yourself. Keep living a transparent, authentic life inside the vulnerable. And listen, as you strengthen your core and yourself, your vulnerabilities will change. Your vulnerabilities aren't a weakness. They aren't your flaws. They are just where you are right now. And where you are right now will change over time. So your vulnerabilities might change too. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week.